As we've seen SUP explode across the UK in popularity, we're now seeing more and more people head from lakes and rivers and down to the ocean to look to get out and catch their first waves at the beaches. It's massively accessible and allows you to make use of conditions which aren't always great for normal surfing, whether that's smaller surf or mushy conditions, or even spots that might not be so good on a normal surfboard. So we're going to have a look at how to get out SUP surfing safely. Many of the original SUPs landing on the UK shores were surf focused, and SUP surfing is a great way to make the most of UK surf conditions, no matter what the size. It's opened up this dynamic environment to everyone from experienced ocean goers all the way through to those eager to catch their first rides. We head down to Cornwall to take advantage of the waves. First I'll take you through the equipment for SUP surfing, and then meet up with Elle, who's a local surfer. We talk about conditions, etiquette and tips, then head out for a session. In terms of hardware, there's three things we're going to look at: board, paddle and leash. And first of all, we'll start with the paddle. So when we're first getting in stand-up paddleboarding and maybe paddling on flat water, we tend to get the paddle a little bit longer or over our head height. So I've got an outreach hand that flops over the top. We end up with this kind of 6 to 10 inches above our height. As we get into the surf though, when you're stood in more of a surf stance and you're a little bit lower down, the paddle might need to come shorter. And that might come down to head height to start with, but over time you might even see it at eye level or even lower than that again. Next we'll have a look at the board. Now the key thing with a board is whilst SUP boards go down as short as just over 6 foot, we're looking to find something we already find comfortable to paddle. If you can't paddle it on flat water, it's probably not going to work in your first time in the surf. So board ranges, it'll be personal preference, but we're probably looking at something anywhere between 8.5 foot, maybe even all the way up to 12 foot. From a width point of view, we need something that adds us a bit of stability before we get into the surf environment. So that might be as narrow as 28, but all the way up to 36, depending on your ability, and again, depending on what you feel comfy on. The last thing, and probably the most important thing, is the leash. So on flat water and in touring, we might use a coiled leash, and that stops it snagging on things in the water, and also stops it dragging in the water when we're paddling along to make us go a little bit faster. However, in SUP surfing, the straight leash is the most important bit of safety kit you're going to use. And it needs to be a SUP surf leash, so thick enough that it can take the strain of that board being pulled away from you in the surf. Elle came down and met me at the beach. We had a chat about the conditions and what to look out for on the beach breaks. How did you first get into stand-up paddleboarding?
I've grown up on the beach, and my dad's a surfer and a fisherman, and he's surfed all of his life, so yeah, I started surfing before and then I fancied a change and started stand-up paddleboarding. Did you start on flat water or did you go straight into the surf? Like, how did you do it? Yeah, well, I joined a club at Carpus Bay, so I started getting used to it, getting to grips with things on flat water, and then I got the love for that, so my dad thought, why don't we take you out in some waves? So I started off in small conditions with him until my confidence grew.
And does SUP allow you to get out in different conditions that your surfboard would, or when would you choose your SUP to get out there?
I'd definitely choose my SUP over surfing most days, just because it's more of an all-rounder. You can just move around, you can change peaks quickly.
Get away from the crowds a little bit.
Yeah.
What sort of size waves did you start in?
Small, yeah, small, clean, just so I could not scare myself, get used to the board, get used to what it feels like to take off from waves with a paddle in your hand.
So we have a look at what we've got out there today. So in terms of surf size, what do you reckon?
2 to 3 foot. Because this stretch of beach is so long, and depending on the swell direction, as you get further down the beach towards Hale, it's just going to get smaller and smaller. So depending on your ability, yeah, you can pick and choose which beach you want to go to, and you can check the forecast before you come. But it'll be bigger here, maybe a few foot smaller at Hale, it depends.
Like, you see a rip out there today?
Yeah, well, you've got a bit of a rip here, and there's obviously a lot of water movement around the rocks. But yeah, you can tell where the 2 different peaks are breaking and then the water's going back out. And
as an experienced SUP surfer, would you avoid that or would you use that?
I'll use it to help me get out back quicker than rather going through the impact zone or getting in anyone else's way. But obviously, if you don't have that water knowledge and you don't have that confidence to use that rip, then you would just go out through the white water.
We've had a look at rips, had a look at the size. Let's go get on the water. Cool, so made it down the beach. We talked about a few things up on the cliff about sort of the surf size, but also rips and getting out. So now you're down here, what sort of stuff are you looking for before launching?
Well, you clearly can't see as well as you were from up on the cliff. You can't really see the rips and as such, but you can see the different peaks. So as we explained earlier, you've got a peak here and you've got a peak there, and then you've got a section of water in the middle which isn't breaking as much. So basically that is your idea of a rip.
To spot that, I just need to spend a bit of time here, don't I? So, so having a look and checking it out. And if I'm not sure, who can I talk to?
Yeah, well, if you're on a lifeguarded beach, such as this beach, then you can go and have a word with the lifeguards. They'll explain to you in more detail where to go, where not to go, where it's safe to go.
In terms of that lifeguarded beach, I'll know it's a lifeguarded beach because I'll see some flags. And what do those flags mean?
So you've got the red and yellows for swimming and bodyboarding, and you've got the black and whites where it's for crafts like surfboards, kayaks, anything. Any like hard crafts or crafts with fins.
Cool. So look for the flags, talk to a lifeguard, spend a bit of time on the beach, and I should be good to go.
Yeah, definitely.
And that last bit, so I'm about to go out there, about to launch. Don't want to look like a kook. There's a bit of etiquette I need to follow. So paddling out for the first time. What are the rules?
So basically, when you're paddling out, whoever's on the wave, if there's people surfing already, then you've just got to be polite, and it's their right of way. So it's your problem. If you're in the way, you've got to get out of their way.
Okay, so staying out the way on the way out, that's kind of number one.
Yeah.
Once out there on the waves themselves, how do I make sure I don't get shouted out the water or make a nuisance of myself or anything like that? If
you're catching the wave and it's just you're the only one paddling for it, you're the only one on that wave, that's fine, you've got priority. If there's two of you paddling for the same wave, the person who is closer to the peak, which is the bit where the wave just breaks and it starts to peel, that person has got priority over you. So if you're in a scenario like that, then you would have to pull off that wave.
And so if someone else is close to the peak, I should pull off or stay off that wave?
Yeah, just don't paddle for it.
Okay, and that is called dropping in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So effectively, if I paddle and they're on it, that's dropping in, that's the biggest no-no.
Definitely, yeah.
And I suppose the risk here, SUP makes it so accessible I can get on waves really early, I can maybe get on it before a surfer. So any advice on the etiquette around that?
Yeah, you don't want to be a wave hog. You just need to let everyone have their own go. So if you've caught a good few waves, then let other people surf them.
Okay, so once you caught your wave, let everyone else have a turn and sort of wait your turn in the lineup, really.
Yeah.
Cracking. Sounds good. Catching waves are one of my favourite things to do on a board. It's awesome fun. It takes practice like all sports, so start off small and build up to more challenging conditions. I hope we've given you enough tips for your next session and to make sure that when you get on the water, you stay SUP safe.